Gateway?
Yes, working with commission members, asked Mike to give us a report on the progress of Gateway Park, status of the drainage upgrades, an update on the quote for paving work at Gateway Park, a recommendation on the location of the north sign at the intersection 100 South and Williams Drive, and also provide some input. We had a request from one of the companies, Impact CNC, for some on-site infrastructure assistance to see if we could include that in the paving as well. So, let's see what these work like.
Okay. I have to stay for council, so
Yeah.
not going any place too fast.
You can't leave anyway.
The project, basically, we finished out there yesterday. As I mentioned before, we have a little bit of work down at the Ed List property at the very end that we're going to do to help him. I think some of the original problems were brought up by Ed and his property, even though it's the lowest in the area. We're going to do a couple things out there to ensure that he doesn't have any problems at all coming from the creek that runs along 100. We have already diverted the water and ran it out back so that a lot of the water that used to come down to him and run through his property will not do that anymore. We will keep an eye on the germination, obviously, of the seed, and anything that needs to be reseeded or restrawed, we'll take care of that and do that. We're very happy with everything that's out there, with the everything we put in, the way it looks. We've diverted a lot of water from how maybe it was originally intended. A lot of the one of the big one would be, I can't think of the name of the road that cuts across into the middle of the park there. Cardinal. We took that water, and instead of turning it and running it to the south, of which all that would then end up running down Business 30, to the west, we ran that across the road and have that hitting a riprap area to slow it down, and then it runs south. But then instead of again running all the way to the south, we turn that on Governor's and then head it west. So a lot of the total water was changed and diverted out there. We put a lot of riprap areas in to catch water, slow it down, and then release it again slower so that we don't have erosion problems. And again, we're just hoping the seed gets started, and that'll help us a lot too. We're here today basically so we can line up B&B paving. They're our low bidder. I think I've sent things to you. The low estimate was around 52 to do everything, but that would not be doing all of Governor's where it comes around and attaches all the way. That would be just doing coming into the right-of-way area, that kind of thing, just tying it in there. And also on Cardinal, it would be just maybe taking it back 100 feet instead of taking it all the way back to where that road actually ends.
62,000 would do all of both of those, correct?
Yeah, 60 to 62 would do everything in the park, yeah. And we need to line up B&B because they'll work doing state highway stuff as long as they can, and then they'll start, where counties want them to come in and start doing some of their work, and they start getting busy, and you don't want to get them too late. You don't want to be laying asphalt, at Thanksgiving. So, especially when you're only laying an inch of asphalt, that is kind of weather restricted, and we'd really like to get doing that if we can get permission to do that. Alan asked me about the parking lot down at the south end of William, and that can be done in several ways. When we first looked at it, there's an immediate parking lot to the south. It's divided by concrete in the center, and then a huge parking lot to the north. Basically, the parking lot to the south can be done. It would take about 92 tons. That's not very much. $60 a ton. About $5,520 to do that. That's putting a strong inch and 1.25 inches, which is all you would need for parking lot, like that. There's the big parking lot to the north. If you decide to do that also, it'll cost about $7,000 to do. And so again, you've got $5,500 on the parking lot to the south, $7,000 to the north. The total is going to be about $13,000 to do that parking lot. I checked on striping, and it's roughly $5 per vehicle lot. And again, in that first area to the south, there's only about 20 parking places, so only about $100. That's actually done by a gentleman here in town. I think his name is Ellis Hamburgy. Most people probably know Ellis. Does an excellent job. I think he did the lot out here and did a very good job on it. So if you do the big parking lot to the north, there might be, it depends how much you divide that up, but there could be 50 parking places down there. And again, at $5, it's just nominal money. You don't have very much money into the striping part. And that's something that obviously we could have them do after they finish all of the roads inside the park. That really gets out of the right of way and into a public area, and we have to be a little bit careful that way. The highway department could still haul it. We probably shouldn't be in on the parking lot, but we can also dump into the paving machine, into the driveway areas, and they can then take a full paver in there and take care of it that way. But that saves paying any kind of a union haul charge, which can be a lot of money too. The other thing was the sign. Our thoughts are to put the sign exactly where the old sign is, and to tear the old sign out and put this new one right in exactly the same place. And just cannot think of a better place for it than right there. Outside of that, questions, I guess?
That's the sign coming off 100?
Yes.
I don't know if any of you have been out there. It looks good. We're in it, not exactly, we haven't exactly followed the plan that we originally had from the engineer. Might put in some pipes of lesser size than what Jim had called for. The question is it going to work? And Mike says it's going to work. Jim says, he talked about a 100-year rain, or 10-year rain, and I don't know what that is. I know that we had a 6-inch rain out there one time. I can remember very well because it flooded my furniture. And but no matter what we do that part, we're not going to just handle that one. That's when the river comes out. They're going up and down 100 in a canoe.
The park just was not, the way it was sitting, wasn't taken care of very well, and a lot of the water ran out of parking lots and out onto the road, and then ran down the road and ran off at its nearest point, that whole thing. We've changed all those areas to keep the water from doing that now. All of the water will now run into the side ditches. We've deepened all of those. The size of the pipe was increased up to about 70%. Jim had his raised up to about 170% of the size that was in there before. And again, with the diversion of water, we have one place where Jim and I were out there and we were talking, and there's one place where we actually put in 10-inch pipes under 2 driveways. But the reason we did that was for coverage on the pipes, and there's no water going through that pipe area. So, you can call it a 1-year storm, a 10-year storm, a 100-year storm, but if there's no water going into that area and it's all been diverted away, then, in some cases, you don't need a very big pipe at all. These will be, everything out there is plenty ample, and as we've stated from the beginning, anything that's not right, we have to take care of anyway. But if anybody's seen it out there, you'll see quite a huge improvement, and obviously we hear that from everybody.
So on diverting water behind the lease property here, and that's coming back here between PDQ and
Yes.
Eaton Automotive, and we've got agreements, right, with property owners, easement agreements, so.
And that diversion is in there.
Yeah, that's in.
Yeah.
It's in, it's all seeded, and this, and all through this driveway here, this used to spill out into the road. We have a slight ditching area in here that made it lower than the road. When we pave that and make that another, or if we pave it, if you allow us, we get a strong inch in there, that'll even help more. It'll keep that water channeled in that little bit of a ditch we've got built into the parking area. And it comes down here, and then it actually runs across into a little bit, it cuts across this corner and empties into a ditch that takes all the water out back. And it looks nice, it'll work. We haven't had any big rains, obviously, but the water we have had, you can see where it's following the path and it's doing everything it's supposed to. So, very little water. He used to have a lot of water that would shoot out here and then go straight ahead and come up this way. Very little of any water will go straight ahead and go through that area now. Up here in this area, right at the very, very end, that's where we still have a little bit of work to do. We've actually filled up the end of his yard with some good topsoil, brought that up a little bit higher, and then we're gonna come in here and cut out everything in this ditch line, and that's where we're gonna use gabion baskets and actually make vertical sides that come up to keep the water channeled into that vertical side where it won't be able to come back and get into his yard anywhere, so.
The thing we have to do is decide, if we're satisfied with, we can't pave that thing till we're satisfied with what we've got up here. The point right now, are we satisfied with what's out there?
I looked at it, I think it's a vast improvement from what we've had. But I do have two questions.
Hmm?
You said about the paving, where would that paving stop if we just did the
Yeah.
52,000?
Yeah, well, like here on Governor's, we would just come back maybe, this far into Governor's.
All right.
And then down at the opposite end of Governor's, maybe you would only come back this far, okay? So all of this would not get done.
Okay.
And then here on Cardinal, again, you would maybe only come back to this first drive and you'd stop it right there. Where the road actually, I'm not sure where that property line's at, probably about right in there. You would actually be bringing this road back and doing that full road in there. And so you can do the entire thing and all of Governor's for, that's the one that's around 60,000.
I think, and this is my opinion, I
Yeah.
think if we're gonna do this, we need to do the whole park. Because I wonder if some of these businesses out there are gonna think, well, we're not getting
Yeah.
the 2 cents that we
Well,
need,
particularly
and
talking
that
about four-way
concerns
metals.
me.
And also these driveway areas that you have, we're talking about the one parking lot that's going in here. There's a driveway here, and we'd be able to take that, although it wouldn't matter now, because now if you end up doing that parking lot, that'll tie those driveways in anyway. But normally you would just do to the right-of-way line. Let's say you weren't going to do that parking lot, we could actually take these back and do a fuller job even on the entrance for those people, so.
And on that, we had a request, like say from Impact, I talked to Jordan Bill about, for a number of on-site improvements. I mean, even to the flagpoles.
He made a request for several things.
Thought we may, something the commission could look at would be, so if you're gonna do the paving job, go ahead, say, work with the areas that are there. And since that building was vacant for quite a bit, it's a way to help,
It'll cost them a lot more money if it's done outside of us. First of all, we have
It was.
an excellent annual bid price to do the asphalt. And then on top of that, we haul it. If union people end up hauling that for whoever they get, whether it's E&B or whoever, that would probably triple the cost to do that. So I mean, the time to do it, if it's going to be done, if you guys want it done, would be while the highway department is there and hauling the material in, et cetera, et cetera. I do want to point out one thing. One of the big things that in changing the water here, there's a lot of water coming down here, and then they have all turning off these roofs. This water used to come down here, make this turn, and go all the way down here. What we did was we took this water, instead of having it make the turn, which is hard to do anyway, and there's quite a few utilities in this corner right here. We ran this across the road, okay? That's the diversion, and so that no water is running down through there. And now it runs down this side just to this point, and then we ran it all the way down this way. So from here to here, there is no water coming from anywhere. And that's where we were able to put a different sized pipe under these two driveways. There's just no water there now. Yep, I did that. Sorry about this.
I'd like to have an answer first, are we satisfied with what we've done, and let's get into the paving part. I am, Jordan.
I think it looks great, and Michael is kind of, I've gone through it with Michael, and he's explained the diversions, and it looks to me like he's done a great job. And it saved us a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna get to that in a minute. We're well below what our original estimate was for hiring out, using Jim's plan and an outside contractor due to the county highway department. It's saved us a lot of money. I just asked Jim what our total was to start with. Yeah, I don't remember. She
I
said,
thought the project was gonna be 300 and some thousand. I don't remember the exact number, and I didn't have it in there.
yeah, so
And we were gonna do it in steps.
money-wise, we can do the lights and we can do all the paving, still be below what our original estimate was.
When you say all the paving, you're
Every-
talking the parking lots too?
Parking lots and all will still be well below.
Now, those are private parking lots.
That's right.
Why would we do the private
Yeah.
parking?
Why wouldn't everybody else ask, well, you did their parking
I
lot?
didn't say would, I'm saying if we did it.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily recommending we would. If we did it, we would still be well below our original.
Yeah, to do the parking lot that I was asked to measure, it's like $12,000 in there. And I would assume that others, if they knew that it was part of this, would probably say,
Yeah, do mine.
thank you, we didn't know you were doing all the parking lots, but
But to do the roads in the park, all the roads in the park, would be about $62,000.
But we could work with the two parking lots and helping by having the highway department deliver the materials. I mean, that would
yeah,
help.
I would guess it's probably for a third of the cost if they had to come in here and do that on their own. I don't know if there's any other paved parking lots. We have a stone one way down at the other end. W. Jones has done a little bit of asphalt work in theirs, and they're talking about doing some more asphalt work on the other half, but as far as I know, that's the only one on Williams that's a paved parking lot, but again, up to you guys.
Well, personally, I think we'd go open a can of worms if we do it. I think we ought to leave it alone.
And the rationale would be, it is a job creation project where they've committed to add up to 100 jobs. So that's that's the reason that I think Jerry submitted the request is knowing that it's helped support his project. And the commission did help with some on-site work at the PDQ building. So,
I think if we tell them that the highway department would be glad to pitch in and help reduce their costs for doing it themselves, I have no problem with us helping in that fact.
The other thing we would have to do and should do is to stay off of the parking lot. We shouldn't have our trucks in there on private ground like that, but
I agree.
if the paver comes out to the drive area and you fill him there on that spot and then he takes the paver in, it doesn't take very long to do a parking lot. I mean, they'll be in and out of there in 30 minutes.
And the next question is, could we do that for somebody else besides they want to pay for the parking lot? We could do the same thing for them, because I don't want to be doing it just for one.
Well, again, that should be, wouldn't that be something that should be done before the road actually gets paved?
Not necessarily. in a
Because you're
parking
gonna have roads to, well, if you're just backing up to the driveway to dump it, you're gonna be turning on that asphalt. You're gonna be tearing it right up again.
lot. That's Mike on that, I don't know much about that.
I always hate to disagree with Bruce on anything, but we're used to doing that.
Don't let that bother you, Mike.
We're used to that kind of thing, and obviously the very first thing we tell people is not to make those turns and do that kind of thing. But we would not do anything that would